We usually think of shopping as a highly rational process. You walk down a supermarket aisle, compare the options, check the price tags, and pick the product that makes the most economic sense. But that logical comparison only describes the safe, predictable middle of the market. If we push out to the absolute extremes of consumer behavior, that rational process completely disintegrates. On one edge, you have buyers who will bypass a dozen closer options, drive hours out of their way, and happily pay a premium, all to acquire one highly specific brand. On the far opposite edge, you have buyers who actively ignore products they desperately need, refusing to even think about making a purchase until a life event forces their hand. Economists categorize these two poles as specialty goods and unsought goods, classifications that track the invisible psychological pressure behind every transaction. Specialty goods are items that possess such unique characteristics or command such intense brand loyalty that a consumer will habitually make a special purchasing effort to get them. The power of this category lies in the buyer's absolute refusal to make comparisons. Take a tailored suit. A client seeking a specific fit and style from a master tailor isn't going to cross the street to see if a rival shop offers a 10% discount. The decision is locked on to the precise execution of the garment. You see the same behavior in high-end hobbies. An audiophile tracking down a vintage stereo amplifier is hunting for precise technical specifications and a highly specific sound profile, completely ignoring whatever mass-market alternatives happen to be on sale. The brand identification is so overwhelming that buyers will invest massive amounts of their own time just to locate a specialty dealer authorized to sell the exact camera they want. In every one of these cases, the shopping process is effectively over before the consumer even walks out their front door. With specialty goods, the consumer willingly absorbs all the friction of the transaction. They perform the labor, they invest the time, and effectively close the sale themselves. Then we cross to the exact opposite end of the spectrum, where consumer demand flatlines into absolute apathy. These are unsought goods. They are products that consumers either don't know exist or know perfectly well exist but actively try to avoid thinking about. The first subcategory is regularly unsought products. The hurdle here is the human psychology of avoidance, which is usually tied to unpleasant realities. Products dealing with human mortality, gravestones, cemetery plots, caskets, are things almost no one wakes up excited to shop for. The natural human impulse is to put off the purchase indefinitely. Because of this deep psychological resistance, these industries rely heavily on aggressive personal selling. The transaction only happens when a professional sits down one-on-one with a client to overcome their natural aversion. The second category is new unsought products. Here, the product fails to sell simply because of ignorance. The market doesn't even know the solution exists yet. Every major electronic gadget started out in this category. When battery-powered portable televisions were first developed, nobody was looking for them because consumers didn't realize they could watch TV at a picnic. To pull an innovation out of this unsought status, a company has to launch massive advertising and educational campaigns to convince the public that they actually have a new need. Whether the barrier is mortality or novelty, unsought goods require the marketer to spend all the capital and exert all the effort to overcome a total lack of buyer motivation. Every single product on the market exists somewhere on this spectrum of psychological effort. This scale diagram measures the burden of effort. For specialty goods, it tips completely to the buyer, who acts as their own salesperson to hunt down what they want. For unsought goods, it swings violently opposite. The seller carries the weight of closing the deal. Ultimately, market success is determined by the degree of psychological friction a product creates in the human mind. The next time you find yourself driving an hour out of your way for a highly specific brand, or dodging a phone call from someone selling life insurance, you'll know exactly which extreme of the market you are standing in.